Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good golly, Miss Molly. Welcome to Rowdies Live. Yep. Welcome to Rowdies Live on the Rock and Roll Rowdies channel. This site of the channel with the most handsome men in history on it. And you can see four of them. You can see four of them on the screen right now. So good evening, or good afternoon, gentlemen. It's probably good. It's good afternoon for one of you, and good evening for two of you.
Good evening for me. Good evening
for me. I've already had 6 pints.
What are you, the two Ronnies? Is good evening from him, and good evening from me.
Good evening from
him.
Yeah. Hartlepool deal in Kent.
Yeah. So, Mal, my friend, I'm glad to see you're looking better. How are you feeling?
Yeah, feeling 100% better. Yeah. I think I came out of hospital feeling slightly worse than when I went in. I thought I caught COVID or something while I was in there, but all the tests have been negative. So, touch wood, I'm on the mend. I've just stopped coughing today, so the good thing about it, I managed to drop about 10 pounds. I'm dropping about a pound a day.
What, in cash or in weight? No, sorry.
I haven't had a drink in 2 weeks. I haven't touched alcohol.
So this is what reality looks like to you now.
Yeah, scary shit.
You can see things.
Yeah. Look. Oh my God! What is that clear stuff? That is weird. What is it? Is it vodka?
Yeah.
That's vodka.
Vodka.
I'm getting used to it. That's the frightening thing. I'm getting used to it.
Yeah. I know what you mean, because I'm on so many pills for my back that I don't really drink much these days. So everything's in stunning reality now. It's horrible.
Yeah,
it's horrible. The Wilko, my friend, you're still got the wrist injury, the cramp in the hand.
6 weeks.
So, yeah, how long is that going to last?
It comes off in 6. Well, I've got to go and see them in the States the 13th of October.
Right.
It's been a week without alcohol. I've got the shakes.
Oh God!
As you can see, I haven't had my hair washed. I'm actually going into the hairdressers tomorrow to get my hair washed. You can't do anything with your left hand when you're right-handed, and it's
not true.
Well, yeah, but it's just
attended somebody else, Wilk.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, it's been a week, and the cast is actually getting thinner, looser because of it's all swelling's going down, Yeah, but I heal pretty quick. But then again, I'm 71, so who knows?
Yeah, I can't believe someone's going to get the privilege of running their hands through your lovely locks of hair that you're going to.
Oh, you want to see them?
So it's good to see that we can hear you this week. Well, it's good for some people that we can hear you.
No, it's my fault. I apologize.
Yeah.
I apologize.
So as FKHC 2005 is saying, this is now a medical stream where all we're going to talk about is collectively, we're like a military academy, and when you get older, little bits of you keep passing out.
Yeah.
If we put us together, we might have one functioning body,
Well, this is, I did this on the night. So in the morning, I'm looking at it and I go, I know it's broken. I'm sitting on the chair with the dog and I'm like, what's going on? Next thing I know, I fall off the chair, break all my glasses, and another medical situation. I'm going to get all my blood taken when I get back. I literally passed out,
Yeah, it's a horrible thing, aging, but we're all still here.
I'm going to have to go back on tour just to get all that medication working properly again.
That's right. Yeah, you get the real stuff. The prescription stuff's pretty good these days. So, Dustin, my friend, I'm assuming you're the only one of us that doesn't have any of these issues.
That's true.
Yeah, you're robust and healthy. Glad to see it, and thank you for joining us, mate.
Of course. Thanks for having me. I'm always honored to be here.
Yeah. Now, Granny today is in San Francisco, so he's probably pooping in the street somewhere right now. So maybe he will be joining us. He's going to try and find a room to join us later. And Willie Fyffe is exceptionally busy with stuff, but he is hoping to drop in later. So we're hoping Willie will join us for the first time and we'll have a good old chat with him because it's been a while for you guys, I think, if at all.
The last time I saw Willie was on the Dio tour.
Yeah, that would be the 80s. Yeah, so it's
No, it was, was it the 80s? No, it was the 90s for me.
90s. That was in the 90s. Yeah. Okay, mate. Mal, did you know Willie personally? You must have bumped into him.
Oh, I've bumped into him. I never worked with him, I don't think, that I'm aware of.
Okay.
Well, you know, somebody else sent me something today on Facebook asking me about something. And I said, well, I'm sure I was there. I just don't remember.
Like all the best times, yes, you don't remember.
Yeah, they were talking about the Fillmore East, actually. They were talking about our ambience coordinator. From,
So
my old ambience coordinator. He was reminding me that we'd done back-to-back tours. We'd done Genesis for 10 months. And then we had about a 2-week break, and then we did Pink Floyd for 22 months.
Right.
You know, and so we had the same ambience coordinator for that whole time.
Ambience coordinator. Tell us more about an ambience coordinator.
Well, he made sure the ambient, you know, the vibe was good. You know, that everybody was in the mood. Everybody was in the right groove, up to the same speed.
Yeah. Just don't eat the yellow M&Ms.
Yeah. I thought you said ambulance coordinator.
Well, it would be now.
I used to call them all the time.
We need an ambulance coordinator now, that's for sure.
We used to have our own ambulance behind the tour buses. You know.
Yeah.
We get it drive us to the hospital.
Was that an official position? I'm wondering.
Don't die on me mouth. Don't die on me mouth.
I can see
most shows these days you have to have like at least like some paramedics on staff and stuff, especially for festivals and stuff. Like you got to have all that stuff now. You probably didn't have to have it back when you guys started.
We always had a doctor backstage at every gig we did.
Every gig.
A doctor and a chiropractor.
Yeah.
His name was Dr. Feelgood.
Yeah, Dr. Robert.
Dr. Buzz. Dr. Buzz was in Denver.
Him too.
Dr. Buzz. Come on.
It was. That's where his name was, Dr. Buzz.
Dr. Buzzy.
Are you getting the vibe?
I've got the vibe. I haven't talked in a week.
So, good afternoon to everybody in the chat. Thank you for joining us all, and obviously do that wonderful thing you all do with hitting the like button, sharing the stream out. Tell everybody about this channel and this show. Hey Andy, hey Davina, FKHC 2005, Andy Morrow, good to see you all. And over on Rumble, where it's going out in my Rumble channel, Christian Delorme is over there, so good to see you, buddy. So Wilko, last week we didn't get the chance to talk to you, and we had some pictures and stuff we wanted to talk about. Let me just throw this up on the screen. Oh, this isn't part of that conversation, but it happened to be in the same folder. I don't know. I mean, and there's something about don't take drugs in the background.
Yeah.
So that's what you call having eyes in the back of your head.
Where's that bar? Where is this bar?
That's the nursery.
Right.
In Hartlepool.
In Hartlepool.
Oh, in Hartlepool. I love the Mott the Hoople poster in the background.
Well, you know, I'm at Scona Studios. It was sitting behind me, and Scona booked bands in there for 30 years.
Yeah.
So he's part of the Rock and Roll Rowdies, as we say.
Well, that would be, some history there.
Yeah. Should interview him. He knows a lot of stuff.
Well, we should get him on the show here, for sure. Yeah. If you want to reach out, let's get him on the show and talk about that particular venue. Now, I wanted to talk about the dangers of rock and roll with you. This is the before picture. Imagine this is the before, okay?
Right.
And then after picture is this one.
Right.
So obviously you were taking the wrong type of substances because you went from that one to this one, and suddenly you're in cabaret supporting Engelbert Humperdinck.
Yeah, I got in the wrong ambulance. Basically, when we were the Average White Band, once it all really kicked off, I mean, I arrived in T-shirts, in whatever, and within 2 months, not just me with the band and everybody, it was Armani suits. We just totally changed. It was just like, wasn't the money concept. It was just, this is the business. Let's look the part. Let's play the part. Let's make it happen. And that was at an Atlantic party with Average White Band's platinum albums, I believe.
Yeah.
I know Granny said it was the something else, but that was the whiskey. I know it was the whiskey.
Where is this taken though? There's a lot of interesting.
Yeah, it was at the whiskey in Los Angeles.
Oh, it's at the whiskey because you can see in the wall at the back all those
Yeah.
posters and stuff. Yeah, that looks really neat. But what a difference, you know, you went from, and then there's the pictures of you with your binders. So you went from rock and roll rebel to businessman.
Yeah, I mean, Bruce McCaskill, you got to look at the people who taught me, especially. I mean, in London, I was driving cars, unloading trucks, falling out of taxis, falling into ambulances, falling downstairs, falling upstairs. Got the gig done. But the bottom line was,
try walking occasionally. No, just kidding.
Well, look what happened. Don't drink and walk. That's what I say.
That's true. Yeah. You had someone else to carry you.
Just get a ambulance. Easy.
Yeah,
Easy,
absolutely.
easy.
You can't afford a taxi. Phone for an ambulance.
But once I arrived in '75 and in New York rather, and just going into Atlantic Records and the studio, into the rock, and meeting everybody, and realizing these are the people I'm going to be working with, I just took one step further and went, okay, now it's down to get the job done, keep your nose clean. This is your opportunity, and take it. And that's what I did, And I was with the Average White Band from '73, so I did all the early stuff, which was my little learning thing, and Bruce McCaskill, as I said, we had the OAG. Did you have that, Mal? I mean, I didn't use a travel agent. OAG, I used to look at the airlines myself and sit down with Atlantic Records.
Guys.
Mal, go and die somewhere else. I'm trying to talk to you. And, we'd do all that stuff. And we'd look, okay, Atlantic Records, when do you need me to be in Mississippi? I need you on the radio station here and Tennessee, every state. So we look at the AAG and just book our flights as we went along, And if it was in a car, it was in a car. But it was like, then all of a sudden I'm going, maybe I'll have a file for Monday.
I can find shit.
It was all going on here, I'm going, writing everything down. And you just learn from the process,
I mean, this OEG, was it like that thick? I mean,
yeah. It was massive.
It was like multiple of them.
The Rowdies Bible.
There was one for every airline.
Yeah. But what was funny, Bruce gave me, and I think I've still got it, a leather briefcase, and there was notepads in it and all that. And did you have one of those little disc things you turn around and work out the mileage, Mal?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like the USA, and you just turn it from where you were, and it would tell you exactly.
And the conversion as well. You need conversions.
Okay, 500 miles. Okay, that's a 10-hour drive. It all worked itself out.
I've reached everything at 50 miles an hour.
Yeah.
See, what you guys are talking about there is what I did for a living for many years, is project management. You actually were project managing, moving things from one place to another.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that was part of your job. That was, the air part of your job was getting from A to B. Took most of your time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also the freight, the shipping. There was like Rocket Cargo, God bless them. They were the first ones involved in the business. But a lot of people like us, we didn't use Rocket Cargo. I used to go to same thing, OAG.
So
just go to that flight and just put the gear off.
Yeah. We traveled with the back line, and we used to just pull up.
Yeah.
At the drop off, get a sky cap with the trolley, load all the equipment on, slip the guy a couple of $100, and that equipment, you kept your fingers crossed. That was your baggage on the plane.
Yeah, there was no dedicated rock and roll freight organizations then? I mean, I guess Edwin Shirley is it Edwin Shirley Trucking became quite well.
Yeah, they were starting up. They were the early guys in England and Rocket Cargo.
I would say 72. This around about that. But then it came into the States.
Yeah, people saw opportunities to have that, lighting companies, sound companies, all the other stuff.
Yeah.
Well, it was getting more of a profession. I mean, a lot of roadies like us used to basically do everything. And then it got to a point we couldn't do everything because production was getting bigger. And then people would go, oh, I just want to be a guitar tech. I want to be a drum tech. I'm going to do the lights. Well, I'll do the sound. I'll do out front. I'll do monitor.
If you're granny, you want to carry the oboe. That was his specialty. Just the oboe.
Well,
the mother heads.
Every go with him.
And one cymbal.
Yeah.
So speaking of cymbals, can be heavy. They're very dangerous too. You can slice someone's head off with a carefully aimed cymbal. You know,
a full cymbal bag, man.
Oh God, yeah. Well, they're brass, aren't they? Some of them, or
well, Mal and I used to work with a great drummer called Dave Usher that used to play cymbals with his head, and it wasn't the first time we were like after the gig. Put this towel around you, Dave. You'll be all right,
Yeah, geez, yeah.
He'd be doing this to his cymbal.
Drum solo, and hit the cymbals with his head. And of course, the cymbals used to swivel, and every now and then he'd get one in the forehead. Who threw that?
I'm going to look up, see if there's any footage of that in video. So, hang on, cymbals. I remember.
So when did it kind of shift away from shipping like all of the like the English band's equipment from England to the United States, and then switch over to renting it and it being available when you got here?
A lot of bands didn't like to rent; they would prefer their own back line, right, Mal? I mean, I never came across their own.
Yeah,
it was but what's happened since? I mean, even back in the day, mainly with Mal, not so much me. If you're coming from the States or vice versa, you'd rent the sound and lights and all that in the States. But yet again, a lot of these bands would go, we want everything.
Yeah, but very early days, a lot of bands were forced to just use a house PA, even when you're talking about even beyond that.
Yeah.
You're talking about having a sound system.
Oh, yeah, even
the house PA.
Even in the 90s, I think, 80, I can't remember when it was, I'd done the Stranglers in America, and we had a small back line that we were carrying with us, and we used total house equipment, for sound and lights.
So very variable. Yeah.
Very variable. You turn up and you got, you had to work with it, but that's great. We're old school. We were used to work.
Well, that's the job. Yeah.
Doing that. Yeah.
Well, what was the worst experience you had with sound? I mean, can you think of some real horrible?
Well, when it goes down, it's a horror. And sometimes it did.
But I mean, sometimes you go to a gig and the sound is terrible, as in, can't hear the vocals or it's echoing all over the place. I mean, you must have had a few.
Well, that's really down to the sound guy. I mean, normally with the bands we were with, they were very professional.
Right.
I mean, when we went to Australia the first time, was it just a really bad sound system? Everything about it was bad. And I think we're playing Melbourne, and a small theatre, and the whole thing went down. And the band and I, we all looked at each other. And Hamish looked, and it was all these balconies, all these boxes coming down. And he said, let's just continue. So we did, and they could hear us. And then Hamish was going, and all you people in the boats, sing along.
Was the back line still working? But the back line and monitors were working?
No, it was all gone. It was all gone.
Nothing was good. No, okay. I thought maybe just
everything was basically gone.
So you
no lights, no sound. We just played without anything, and it was fantastic.
Just invented the unplugged idea then.
Yeah,
still hear the drums.
It was unplugged,
Just wanted to show another picture, by the way, Wilko, that you weren't able.
Well, I will talk to you later. I'll watch it.
Watch it
tonight, and then we'll talk tomorrow.
We're on right now. Bye.
All right.
Yeah, that's the Bellevue.
So are you the one pushing the pram or in the pram?
Yeah. No, you see those huts behind you?
Yeah.
He's on his way to hospital there.
Yeah. I was in those prefab huts, ripping all the copper out of it.
Yeah. Yeah. This is
I was taking all the copper wire out, and and you see that woman I mugged in. I took the pram,
I'll
and I
bet
put all
you
the
did.
copper wire in there, and I took it down the scrapyard.
So
That's
you
what I was doing.
took all the copper wiring out of her, did you say? So,
Yeah, I went down to Foster's. That's
Is
not a
this-
lager either.
so this was Wagga, isn't it? It's Wagga.
That's more. Yeah, I mean, a lot of those. That's a steelworks. Yeah, that's Wagga.
It's incredible when you look at that now. I mean, it's and yet they replaced it with these horrible council buildings as well,
Oh,
council
sacrilege.
flats. Yeah. So it's even worse now in a sense, you know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But that was where you grew up in.
No,
and-
I was actually on that area is further away. I would say further north.
Right.
That was a real dump, man. I didn't live in the dump.
I remember the
I
prefabs
was
though.
upper class.
there
That's
was
why
a-
I stole all the copper wire.
I do remember those prefabs. We had them up in Edinburgh area too. A lot of those prefabs.
Yeah.
But oh yeah, what we wanted to talk about last week was we were talking about putting on gigs in unusual places. Is your experience in jail? I mean, we've got one of the photographs of you here,
There you go.
which is
30 days in the hole.
the whole. Well, you mentioned that song, yeah. But
Yeah,
it's, you're sitting on the toilet there, of course.
Yeah, sitting on the toilet just saying, when am I getting my per diems?
That's right. So you put on a gig at Sing Sing.
I certainly did, Ollie.
And this is years before BB King did a gig there, and that was celebrated. So this is what 1980, and you put
Right.
on the band, a British R&B band, the Inmates,
Right.
which is the gig, of course, is like Inmates jail.
Uh-huh.
So how did that come about? Whose idea was that, and how did you?
It was the record label, the agency. I mean, I came off a tour and went straight on to this. And by the way, James McBride, supervisor, was an actual inmate. So I went, all these people, Joseph, Kerry, Deputy Sue, all these were all actually inmates. William Morris Agency put it together, and it was the beginning of the tour with the inmates. So we had to do this one in Buffalo, and you're going to remember when I tell you what happened. So we turn up on the morning, no tour buses, in vans or something, and there was also young ladies with us. Which I thought was a bit too much.
Yeah,
but the walking
tempting
in,
fate.
I just couldn't believe it. But anyway, before that, I talked to these guys and said, okay, what about sound? What about lights? What you bringing in? What's the stage? What's the thing? And we got backstage, and we got this. We need towels. We need a cheese. Back in those days, it was a cheese board, you know. And so I know we got all that together. And I believe, I'm not quite sure, they were working with Sound Instrument Rental, SIR. I did remember seeing a couple of the vans there. So we go through security, which was a nightmare. Very, very together. They were very together. They took us to an area, and there was inmates just walking throughout the entire jail. There's no, they were all out. They wanted out of the cells. What a great thing to do is go and watch a bunch of skinny English guys play music. Mr. Grange, how are you, son?
Yeah. Hey, I'm sorry I'm late. I just dragged myself through security at Oakland International Airport. So I just thought I'd pop in for 1 minute to see if Willie made it.
Yeah, he's going to come on later.
Not yet, but he'll be on later. Yeah. Although if it's too much later, we'll be done. But
I was
right.
Yeah. So I had a gig last night with the Foo Fighters.
All right.
A little bit of rock and roll connection. It's just Salesforce is a techno company, and we had a bit of gig down at the Chase Center, so it was sort of rock and roll.
So you were at the gig, or you were taking part in
we were in transportation,
moving the band around and stuff? Yeah.
I was out the street being a rowdy, keeping everybody moving.
Cool. So good gig.
I have a good voice for it, telling people keep moving.
Moving. Yeah. Good fun though. Good fun. A lot of good fun.
It's always fun to be in San Francisco, the Bay Area. Had a good time.
Nice. Very corporate though. Doing a gig for Salesforce. Very corporate. Yeah.
I fit right in though.
Well, yeah. I mean, the band though. I mean, bands are also willing to do these corporate gigs now. I guess it's a fair bit of cash. Fair bit of cash.
What did you fit right in? The stage box?
Wilko, I just thought I'd pop in and say hello because there's announcements, and I just wanted to say hello. Maybe I'll come back on and see if I can catch Willie.
Okay,
mate.
Quack Orange later.
Thanks, buddy. Yep. See you soon.
Future.
Live from Oakland, which isn't a smoking ruin yet, but probably will be soon.
Yeah.
I've been to Oakland. I've been to the baseball there. Oakland A's, isn't it? Yeah, it was interesting. Not the shiniest of baseball arenas, but it was okay.
Same thing. There we go. So I'm walking around, and it's 89% African American, and I'm going, if these guys just decide to be really be obnoxious, they could really get obnoxious, But as I said, I was working with the inmates, and it was very calm. It was very professional. They were all in suits, and I was going, so how'd you get the suits? They go, well, although we're inmates, we want to be part of the whole thing. I was like, no, you look fantastic. And I had a great time with James, and we talked and we did our gig. I took the band down to the stage and they started playing. There they are, the great band, by the way. Great band.
Great R&B band. Yeah, very. Yeah, if you like Dr. Feelgood, if you like Dr. Feelgood, stuff like that, it's absolutely in that vein.
And this was my first gig starting the tour.
Yeah, I've got the album actually on vinyl, the Inmates album, yeah.
So the one, William Morris really took them on and really put a lot of time and money into them. So as we went along and the show was getting, I'm like, okay, then there's no money to pick up, obviously. So they went and showed me the first cell that was from 1800s. Unbelievable. For two guys, you could touch the walls, and two guys were in there all the time, never got out.
Yeah.
And what they did, they renovated all of the old stuff, but they kept about 3 or 5 just for, this is what happened, how we expanded, how we built on it, But this what it was like in the 1800s or whatever it was.
Did it look like this? I mean, this is an older, I guess, from the 50s picture or 60s.
I never got to see that. They never took you to where they actually were. We were in the mess hall.
I was going to say, where did they play? It was the mess hall, I guess. Yeah,
it was the mess hall. So they came to us. I didn't get to see any of that stuff.
It would be like the Blues Brothers at the end where they're playing in the jail, Jailhouse Rock at the end. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
That's the same thing, a mess hall like that, yeah.
Yeah. So I thought it was fantastic. I was a bit concerned because, as I said, I'm looking around, I'm going, they could just pull knives, they can just do whatever they want, So I said to James McBride, I went, James, we're going up to Buffalo, and I just got completely cut off from Buffalo. Nobody's picking up the phones. I don't know what's going on. William Morris agency's freaking out. We don't know what's going on. He just goes, watch the news in 2 days. I went, whatever that means, right? So I backed off, went back to William Morris, the management. We said, let's just start the tour. And off we went. 2 days later, it's on the news. The inmates took over Buffalo prison.
Wow.
And they were all, you must have remembered it. It was on the news. They were on the roof.
Yeah, I vaguely remember that. Yeah, even in Britain.
All the tiles off, and they were throwing tiles at them. I think it took good close to a week to get it back under control.
Yeah, so that gig was off.
Supposed to be there that day when it was all going on,
Jesus, you could have been hostages if you had been there. Yeah,
I hope so.
Yeah. So the gig in Sing Sing, did the crowd, the inmates watching the inmates, did they enjoy it? I mean, was it well received in the day?
Some weren't. I mean, as I said, it was mainly African American. If the average white band played there, it would have been mental.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
the white English rock and rollers, although they were bluesy,
Hmm.
there was quite a few getting off on it, but there was quite a few just sitting back like, well, it's either this or back in the cell.
Back in the cell, yeah.
So I just sit here and watch it. I'll do this for them, whatever. It wasn't BB King up there playing, that they all were getting into it.
Yeah, because that became a famous gig, that one. But this was years, you did it years before that.
And it was very sparse as well. I mean, although all the inmates were out, I think there was a couple of mess rooms. Now, there was a couple of mess rooms further down that they were playing pool, playing table tennis.
Hmm.
They were doing their leisurely thing. Then they'll go, okay, let's show our faces. That's what we're supposed to be doing. They'll come in, maybe one or two songs, But when it was over, it was over. They were right back into and they all just left.
Straight out. Yeah.
Straight out. No messing around.
I don't know. I mean, did you find out whether was this like the very first thing, or had there been other shows before that you know of?
I didn't even get into it because I was just like looking after my back, basically, because I've always done that with my upbringing. But I was just like looking around, making sure, Remember, I had the band to look after. I had Willie Morris people bouncing off walls. They were all over the place, and it was good for what it was. It was the start of the tour for a band called The Inmates in Sing Sing Prison. They got a lot of publicity out of it.
Got some TV out of it, I think.
Yeah, I don't know about TV, but it was in the New York Times. It was in the entertainment department. It was.
Yeah.
It went out, and that was a very successful tour. I loved it.
There is video footage of that tour. I think we showed it on a show you and I did once. It's black and white video footage, but it's pretty good. Yeah. From that tour. What happened to the band in the end? I kind of lost touch with them years ago.
When they go back, I back in those days, I was the same as Mal. As soon as something finished, I was on something else. I've kept in touch with a lot of the bands. As you know, the Tremolos, the Allman Brothers. Unfortunately, there's only Dickie left and J-Lo. But I was kept in touch. They just went back and never heard from them ever again.
It's an incredible thing to do, though. I mean, it's quite a rare thing.
No, I didn't have time to really worry myself about it.
Yeah.
I was in a prison, and it was like, I'm getting protected, but as I said, how protected am I?
Well, shit can go down at any time, and especially if there's outsiders that could be used as leverage for something. But I'm fascinated by the fact, though, as you say, that James McBride there was actually an inmate himself.
Yeah, they're all inmates. Yeah. Every one of them I worked with were all inmates.
Which is weird.
That was the first thing I said, though. I was like, because they're wearing suits. I'm going, got a nice suit for being in prison. He goes, oh, it's my work gear. I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, well, I'm an inmate. I didn't ask him what he did. I was like, no, I'm not going to push the buttons on that one.
No.
What'd you do? I killed a roadie. Oh, really?
I killed an entire road crew with a pencil.
Oh, well, I'll see you next week, mate.
I guess, I mean, if you've got skills and there's jobs to be done, then it's a break from just sitting in a cell, and they probably got paid for it. And
well, it's also something like I think correctional facility and all those people looking at what else can we do for these guys instead of just having them walk around the circle and in the cells all day 80% of the time. And so they start putting shows on. But as I said, I'd never really thought about just sitting down and going, what is this, a new thing? Have you had more gigs on? Are you going to have more gigs on? And personally, I think if there were, Buffalo just put a stop to it.
It's just,
that was just, if you can get footage on that, it was all over.
I vaguely remember it made the news even in the UK that it was so bad. And I remember the throwing the tiles down from the roof. But I guess these are high security prisons like Max, Supermax type things. I guess your more standard ones, you'd be able to put a gig on without any trouble, I would think.
As I said, they were walking around the mess hall. There was I didn't see enough security, put it that way.
Okay.
So, but you know, back in those days, they were probably like, okay, we're going to get, if we do something wrong, something's going to really happen, you know. So
cool. I mean, Mal, have you ever done something as unique as that? I guess in terms of putting a gig on in a weird place.
Moscow.
I mean,
Other than on the canal, of course, but
yeah, canal in Venice. Weird places like in Berlin. There's a part of the Olympic Stadium in Berlin, and there's this on the stage. The stage is built. It was built for Adolf Hitler. The stage. And there's a big monolith in the center of it or at the back of it, you know. And the stairs come up. There's a long corridor from miles away. You kind of park the cars, the limos, and you walk down this dark corridor and you come up onto the stage, you know. And this is exactly what Adolf Hitler did back in the day, you know. And he used to, you know, he used to do all his own lighting design and stuff like that. He used to trigger, he had foot switches that he used to press to, you know, emphasize, do all his lights.
you could have got a gig with Showlight.
You know, yeah. And then Nuremberg, yeah, the big rally up there.
Yeah.
You know, that was a regular venue.
Yeah, I did that.
It was very strange to be there, you know, because you could sense the vibes.
Was
in Berlin.
the Olympic Stadium thing inside? It wasn't the stadium itself. It was a stage indoors connected to it.
No. It was outdoors. It was an outdoor. I remember doing it a couple of times. The last time I was there, I think it was Phil Collins.
I think something like. Hang on. So this is the Olympic Stadium in Berlin. Yeah,
that's the Olympic Stadium. Yeah, but there is another
36 Olympics or 38 Olympics. One of the others, I can't remember. 36. Yeah, famous Olympics. Yeah,
Olympics. But there is another venue within there.
Right.
Or maybe it's part of it. But it was more like an amphitheater with the stage. You know, it was in the design of a Roman amphitheater with the stage at one end, and it was a purpose-built stage. I remember that. Yeah,
well, I mean, the 36 Olympics was meant to be a propaganda event for Hitler. Yeah,
and he designed, like I say,
Jesse Owens stuck it to him.
Trigger all his own lights. Yeah,
incredible.
Now back to Nuremberg. There was a big Marine. The Marines were not far from it, because when I did this Nuremberg with Foreigner, they took me all around and showed me where Hitler was standing.
Yeah.
He had a little plate. Did you see the plate?
Yeah.
So I peed on the plate. As I would. I did. These Marines are going, what are you doing?
An enormous space, just an enormous space. Yeah. And he had all these. He had his, you know, he mapped it all out, and he had his light switches on the floor where he would tread on them to change the lighting in the arena. To, you know, some things don't change. You know what I mean?
A very stage managed.
He should have been a stage manager.
I think he kicked himself out.
Something weird happened there. I don't know what went on there, but we got. There we go. Sorry, we're back. Yeah, I don't know what happened there. We everything flipped out on us. I guess. I don't know. Maybe we mentioned the wrong name, even though we were disparaging him.
Yeah.
Last week, to change the subject, last week we were talking about Spinal Tap, and you know, did we ever get lost going to the stage? And yes, I did. And it was in Tokyo, going to the stage, and you've been there, Mal.
Yeah.
And we're from the Hilton, and the security takes you down into the deeps of nowhere, and you walk and walk and walk, and all of a sudden you come to the stage. So after about 10 minutes, I'm going, Spinal Tap, Spinal Tap. I hadn't a clue where they were. not a clue, right? So it took us about 15 minutes to find the stage. And we were just laughing our heads off. And I was like, I'm going back to the pub. I'll see you guys later. Have a nice gig, you know.
Well, this little clip describes, I think, the situation.
It's still a stupid.
It's such a fine line between stupid and clever. Yeah,
it's just like a turnabout.
Yeah.
It's a fine line. Yeah. But some of these arenas are huge. I mean, I've been on, as I think I said last week, I've been behind the scenes in the Toronto, whatever they call it now, where they play the hockey, Maple Leafs.
Yeah. Maple Leafs.
They've changed the name because different banks sponsor it all the times. But yeah, it's underneath there. It's huge, just like a whole city under there.
Yeah, it's like the Coliseum in Rome. It's just
where the hell am I going? You know. The funny thing about that is it's got a big arena, a big corridor underneath there where they have big photographs up of the Toronto Maple Leafs and all their Stanley Cup wins, except the last one's in black and white and it's 1967. So suck it, Toronto. Sorry, it's which I laughed my head. Air Canada Centre. I laughed my head off at that. Oh, is that the latest one they've got? You know. Sorry, Toronto. My friends that are Leafs fans will.
Your ex-friends.
The ex-friends. No, they've learned to put up with it. They're the worst for attacking their own team. You know what it's like when you support a team. Your fans are the worst for attacking them.
No,
their own fans.
No, they're not. I'm a Liverpool supporter. We'd never attack our team.
Oh, I don't know. So what's happening with the rugby right now? What's the score?
I don't know. I'm not watching it, Brian. I've positioned myself so I can't see it.
Yeah, and heard England.
That would be France beating Japan. No, not Japan.
I think England plays Japan next. I think we should get that.
Yeah,
sure. Touring around the world was very fortunate for us for what we did coming from Hartlepool. I mean, very proud of what we did. Every band I worked for, learned a lot, you know, and just like Mal, just stuck in there. Just, I used to pinch myself and go, "Am I actually doing this?"
I know.
You know? And then you're walking into the box office. That's what I was like. What the hell am I doing here?
Well, it's one way of getting a tour of all the major cities in the world and some of the biggest cultural centers within those cities. You know, if you had the time to appreciate it when you were there, of course, which isn't always the case.
Well, you don't get to appreciate it because you don't see it. It's airline, airport, private, whatever, limo, radio station, gig, hotel, limo, airport. You just don't know.
Mal mentioned Italy, or one of us mentioned Italy. So Rome and the Colosseum. Did you get the chance to even visit that when you guys toured Italy?
You know what? I never got to visit anywhere for the first 10 years. You know, I think like Wilko just said, it was a case of flying into the city or driving into the city, do the show, back to the hotel, bar, sleep, get up the next day, repeat. You know, and for about the first 10 years of my touring life, especially in the US and Australia, Japan was the same. I never seen anything other than the venues and the hotels. And then I made a point of it after that, of getting out, especially if we had a few hours or just a day off. I'd make sure I got out. I didn't sleep the day off and got out and looked around and visited places, you know. Took the ferry from Sydney Opera House out to Manly Beach, you know, which is a public ferry, but it's one of the best harbour rides that you can get, you know, and it costs a couple of dollars, you know. Yeah. And it's great, you know, just doing stuff like that. Going out to Staten Island, getting the Staten Island ferry, you know.
I've done that one, yes.
You know, you get another look at New York that you wouldn't normally see, you know.
Yeah, you get to see, it's almost like a tourist thing, but you're paying, as you say, a couple of bucks for it, and you can see stuff.
You know, there are cheap ways to do that, you know. Not that I'm a cheap person or anything, but,
No, but
it is a great way to do it, you know.
yeah, why spend $100 when you can do it in an ordinary ferry?
I mean, I did. On the other end, I was in Rome with Pink Floyd. I think it was, might have been Genesis, and my wife and my young son came out to visit, and I rented a limo for the day, and he took us on the whole 9 yards, the Colosseum, you know, everything.
Everything like that. Yeah,
in Rome, you know.
A lot of
and
people
he showed us places we wouldn't normally get to see as well, because he was, you know, he had the knowledge.
There's something about that that's really neat, yeah, and that's why I don't disparage the bus tours you can do on cities with the open top. It's usually a double decker with an open top. People go, "Oh, well, how corny is that for a tourist to do that?" They're brilliant because you can get on and off them anywhere, and usually the person that's running it does the talking, and if it's just you, my wife and I, many times have been the only people sitting up there in various cities, and they'd come up and just sit with us and chat to us and show us stuff, and they're brilliant. And it's $10 and you can get on and off wherever you want. These are actually worth doing, you know, not to be disparaged because it's local.
So I think one place probably the same, and Granny might have got out and seen steam trains, you know, he went to the local station or something. You know, he was probably looking at steam trains and looking for hookers, you know.
Well, you know, Switzerland was one place I finally got to see. I did the Montrose Jazz Festival, with the AWB and with a couple of other smaller bands. And the last thing I actually did work-wise was Solar Impulse 2, which was designed in Lausanne, Switzerland, which was the airplane that flew around the world on solar. So I went and had a meeting about doing all the shipping. So what I did, I flew to Geneva, went to Lausanne, had the meeting, got back on the same train later on, and went to Montreux and spent the night there. And just walked around Montreux, went into a couple of restaurants, a couple of the old guys are sitting there, kind of recognized me, you know. But it was just something I've always wanted to do, which I could never do on tour. I mean, you just, when you're looking after 6 band members and production, this has got to go on, this has got to go on, you know, and then next thing you know, it's like, oh, I've got to leave tomorrow, you know. You just don't get the time, you know.
No, I guess it's like being in the military. You go places, but you don't actually get to see them because you're just shooting people. You know.
Of course, I didn't have a gun, you know.
Yeah.
I'm being attacked by my dogs.
Oh, you are? Okay, yeah. So,
Hola.
well, it's nice that somebody loves you, Mal.
Yeah. Hey, you think I've got food?
Yeah, just back on the bus tour thing. My wife and I went on one of those open top buses in Pittsburgh.
Love Pittsburgh.
We love it as a city.
Yeah.
We were the only 2 up there, and the guy that was doing the talking was had a David Bowie cover band that was his main gig. This bus thing was his side gig. So he spent the whole trip singing David Bowie songs to us a cappella, and he was brilliant. He was so good. He said, "Oh, you want to hear another one?" And so we're going along this bus, and people are looking up from the street, going, "What's going on up there?" Because they could hear this voice. And it was really neat. Yeah, fun
you
times.
Know, what I liked about Pittsburgh, it reminded me of Wagga. You know, the steelwork people.
It works.
You know, that's what I grew up with, all the steelworkers. You know, and we used to play at a place called the Dome. I don't know if you've ever done it. I can't remember the amount of people, but it was every time we played Pittsburgh, they just won the Super Bowl. So we're meeting we're meeting the quarterback. He's fantastic.
Bradshaw, Terry Bradshaw back then.
Yeah, Terry's so funny. Met him quite a few times. But it was just the Dome and
hang on, I think it's this thing. Is it this thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, it wasn't as big as that. Maybe it was, you know, but that opens up. So by about halfway through the show, you couldn't breathe because of the people. And remember, in the 70s, everybody was smoking cigarettes.
Oh, God.
So I would just turn around and go, to the people, so just open the dome for. It's not raining, it's not snowing, and they just used to open that dome up, and it was just fantastic. You just used to see all the smoke just going up in the air.
You see it from space, probably.
No, it's weird. It's like you don't realize how much smoke you're in. Like you talk about secondary smoke. I've never smoked a day in my life, you know.
Yeah.
And I used to be like, oh, do something with his cigarettes because everybody was
horrible.
smoking.
Yeah.
I mean, on top of marijuana and everything else, you know.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be like you could see it from space, probably, the smoke coming out.
Yeah.
Courtney, yes, I do love Pittsburgh. It's one of the best cities I've ever been to. And the best baseball game I've ever been to was at Pittsburgh. The arena, all the arenas are on one side of whatever river, the two rivers that meet, and they look out over the downtown. So if you sit in the right place, you see the entire downtown, and the full moon came up over it where we're watching the game, and it just was the most gorgeous thing ever. It was just beautiful. Love it. Great city. Great city.
It's such a romantic.
Yeah. Oh, it was just like, wow, you couldn't have scripted this any better. And they couldn't look after you any better either, the Pirates. It's a great, very underrated city, I have to say.
I like Cincinnati as well. I really like Cincinnati.
Yeah, I've driven through it on the highway.
Yeah.
Like 2 hours.
Good gigs. You know.
Yeah, well, you know, one of these days I'll probably actually visit it, but I've driven up and down that highway through it a few times. But
well, you know, with me taking time off, I think I'm going to do it. I'm going to just jump in the car one day and just go from west to east, north, south, everywhere. Just go back because all these places have all grown up. You know what I mean? Like my nephew lives in Austin, and he goes, "When was the last time you were in Austin?" I was like, "Well, 1977." You go, what? And I've seen all these buildings and go, what's that? You know, and it's the same as Nashville. My daughter worked in Nashville, Rachel, and I was like, what's that backdrop? She goes, oh, that's what it looks like now. Oh, 1981 was the last time I was there with the Allman Brothers recording an album. You know.
Yeah, things do change. Yeah, I think Courtney was slagging off me like in Pittsburgh because she's from Philadelphia, so there's clearly a rivalry there. But
Philly's good.
Yeah,
Philly's good. It's a big rock and roll city.
Absolutely.
Great rock and roll city.
Philly, Courtney, I'll have to come on here and chat with you guys about it soon because she knows
I've
all
had
those
lots
venues.
of good experiences in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
I've had a couple of bad ones as well.
That's right.
PCP.
I had one bad one.
Yeah, the Allegheny and the Monahany, and I can never remember which is the side that's got all the sports arenas on in Pittsburgh. They built them all on one side, but we went there and we went to visit Andy Warhol's grave, for instance, which is quite interesting. And all the soup cans that people place in it and whatever. Mm-hmm. And you can see where he was born and brought up and stuff because he's associated with New York, but he was born and brought up in Pittsburgh, and that's where his mother continued to live. So he's buried there, and
I have another story about Andy Warhol. I'll talk later about it. I worked for a fantastic artist called John Chamberlain, and he was part of Andy Warhol's team, and he did sculptures out of crushed cars, and just amazing stuff. He had his own place in Connecticut, not far from where I used to have the farm, and he eventually had to say, you can't do what you're doing in a little town called Essex in Connecticut. Mm-hmm. Get our drift? I mean, 2:04 in the morning, he called me up. Hey, come on over. I need some help over here. You know, this big machine that would crush everything up and everything else. So check that out, Brian. John Chamberlain. You love his stuff.
Will do. Yeah, I'm quite interested in Warhol and his work. Fascinating stuff. But yeah, it's kind of neat. Not that we made a habit of visiting celebrity graves, but it turns out we've seen quite a few of them over the years. It's weird, like Frank Sinatra and people like that. Oh, that's Frank Sinatra's grave. You know, didn't expect that. You know, that kind of thing.
We've got a big graveyard here, like where like they have the tours of like Dillinger and all that stuff.
Oh yeah,
that's good.
Because if you go to London and England and visit Highbury and other places like that, there's so many famous people in all those.
Cray twins. We gotta get Dave Hickey on.
So we're going to get the Cray twins on. That might be a bit difficult.
He actually had. He was the original roadie for Vinegar Joe that Mal and I worked for.
Oh, right.
He got in the pub business, and he's got a story that just blew me away.
Yeah. Having tea with the Crays, Mum.
Yeah, he had tea with Mrs. Cray.
Well, you get in touch.
He was summoned there, put it that way.
Get him on here. You get in touch.
Yeah.
Let's get him
No, I'm
on.
going to definitely set you up for him, you know.
For sure. We've got a few minutes left. I just wanted to briefly show a clip. I finally found that clip of the inmates. So.
Oh, there we go.
Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on.
Yeah. Yeah. Great sound. Great sound. Yeah. That's good sound.
I hear that kind of guitar and it just sends a shiver up my spine when I hear it. I do have that album, that first Inmates album. You know, I may even have seen them live. I can't remember because I saw so many bands in that era that it's very possible I did see them. I've seen Dr. Feelgood a few times, but I love that.
I've seen Dr. Feelgood a lot of times.
Oh yeah, and the band. But,
What band?
That's right. What band? I do love that R&B guitar when that kicks in.
Great guitar player.
I just like wow. I can't get enough of that.
I don't know if they just came and went. I mean, they did. They came to the States. They did the tour left, but I don't know if the careers just stopped. If they went on to do other things.
I'm just checking it out. They did a cover of Dirty Water. I remember that.
Dirty Water was brilliant.
Standell's Dirty Water, yeah. The Walk. Produced by Vic Mail.
There you go.
Big producer of like the Jam and other bands. Eddie and the Hot Rods, yeah. So they are still kicking around. The lead guitarist Peter Gunn is still making albums. So
Wilko, somebody sent me this thing yesterday about Bootsy and Catfish Collins.
Oh, Bootsy
doing Pick Up the Pieces.
Oh, we'll have to find that.
And apparently it's out there on YouTube. I couldn't find it. But it's Pick Up the Pieces one by one.
Bootsy Collins, okay.
Yeah.
I'm writing this down.
Bootsy and Catfish Collins, Mako Parker, and Fred Wesley.
All right, I'm going to look that up, see if we can find that for next time. Although I might only be able to play
James Bond, the JBs. And apparently they seen AWB and they didn't, they were blown away and they recorded their own version of Pick Up the Pieces.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Funky.
Well, also, it's their last tour next year. They're actually going to retire. Done.
Yeah.
So May 3rd, I think, Mal. Well, first of all, they're doing the Royal Albert Hall. And they're doing where Hickey lives, Beamish. Or Beelish, wherever it was, where you and I went to. Yeah. And they're actually, it's the advertising is the last tour. So
it's interesting because there's a bunch of bands of a similar age are doing the same thing. There's final tours going on for a lot of bands like that. I think they've 40, 50, 60 years, they've kind of reached the limit now. Age-wise.
Brian, it's a different ball game. Michelle, the girl, well, I don't know what she is, my wife, my ex-wife. 1 week she's my wife, next week she's my ex-wife.
Life partner.
But she just pulls her hair up because she's a travel agent. And what Alan Gorey's been doing, he runs the Average White Band. So I think it's all just catching up with him. I mean, it's just dealing with, you've got to have contracts. It's all got to be like ding, 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 ding. Not just like check into a hotel. No. Just things like that. For him to do it by himself, it's just too much.
Is this just a UK tour? Do you know, Wilko, or is it
I can find out. I'll speak to Alan and find out what's going on, because it would be good for us to be, because we're looking at starting our tour next June. All right? But May is basically when they're going to be in town. So I'll find out exactly, because it would be good to see if we can just pop in and say hi. And have a couple of the lads come out, Alan, Oni, Rocky, Fred,
Sure.
Just have them come on and just say
I don't
something.
think Hamish will be involved, though, will he? No.
Nah, but it's in fact, I was going to see Hamish when I was in Deal, but he's now back in the States with Ringo again.
That's right. Yeah.
We're waving at
I've
each
seen him
other.
play with Ringo. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
we keep waving at each other, And also Jim Mullen is playing on Saturday, and I can't make the show on Saturday because of this.
Yeah.
So I won't be going to the Wishbone thing.
Well, keep an eye on that stuff for us, Wilko, and because we'll definitely be talking more Average White Band. In the
And
future.
also, back to the Tremolos as well. I got some other dates, which I don't know if I can make because I really am limited with this thing. But I think Len's going to go in the studio with Chesney and do something. I'm not quite sure what that means. So I'm going to get them down and get you involved with them.
I'm up for
I am
that.
going to London to see Lynn Blakely, Alan Blakely's wife.
Sure.
I've always kept in touch. I love these people,
Yeah, I'm up for a Tremolos show anytime that those guys are, or that Lennon is available, So
yeah.
Well, anyway, we've got to wrap it up, guys. Thank you very much, gentlemen, as usual, for sharing those memories. Appreciate it. Dustin, what you got going on, my friend?
Scott, come up here, please.
Oh, I've got lives coming up. I got a live Saturday morning, 7:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you're awake, join me for a cup of coffee. And then Tuesday, 7 p.m., we've got lives, and I've got other videos coming out soon. Thanks so much for having me on. I love you guys. You guys are awesome.
Thanks for being here, mate.
Justin, I haven't said I want to call you, but I'm just being crazy with this. But I want to speak to you about the Cato thing. We also got to talk to you, Brian, about you coming to Los Angeles, Justin coming to Los Angeles. I'd like to say thank you to Sconna for your head in Sconna Studios. And he should definitely do something on the business he's done, because as you all know, my computer went down, so I'm using all of his studio stuff.
Connor, you're welcome on anytime, mate.
Yeah, thank you.
So on that, see you. I'm going to the pub.
All right. Yeah, enjoy, mate. Enjoy your time in the pub. Have a beer for me. Mal, thanks for being here, buddy. Hope you continue to feel better soon.
Yeah, I'll try not coughing.
Yeah, thank you, everyone.
Make me laugh.
Thanks, everybody, for being in the chat. We appreciate you all very much. And we'll see you all.
Press those buttons.
Keep on rocking.
Keep on supervising.